Greetings, fanboys and fangirls. Jared here with another review from Fanboys Forever. And today it's not just any old review, but it's indeed a review of me. It is the very first Hasbro Selfie series figure that I have gotten in. As you can obviously tell, I've decided to go with the Ghostbusters version. To me, it made the most sense. I don't necessarily see myself as Spider-Man whipping through the sky or as a Power Ranger, but I definitely could see myself being a regular guy joining the Ghostbusters as a rookie. So this almost made the most sense to me in terms of canon. You know, like you could almost picture yourself joining it or just like getting a job with the Ghostbusters. Definitely before we have a look at the figure, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe because that really does help the channel out. And of course, we'd be so happy to have you here on the channel. With all that out of the way, let's go ahead and have a look. First, let's talk about the process in getting one of these Selfie series figures. I mean, for better or worse, however this turns out, and we'll see here in a second, Hasbro definitely has an interesting kind of streamlined approach to this, as you can use the Hasbro Pulse app. You can go down in the middle, they have a little Selfie series button, and you scan your face. Now, thankfully, I have one of the newer iPhones, and it really does allow for some really good pictures, and the selfie camera has been improved quite a bit. So I do think that that's part of this, that you have to make sure that you've got a quality kind of selfie lens that you can use. And you, of course, really do need to follow their directions on there about how to turn your head and when to turn your head, and making sure you have really good lighting. I would say probably the brighter lighting you have, the more likely this is to turn out right. And I always say that making sure that you're picking like the right hairstyle on there is a big part of this because that can really throw off a likeness if you've not quite got the hair just right. That being said, I would like to see more hair options. I think that they have a pretty good amount of them, but I do think some of the options are a little lacking for certain hairstyles. I also noticed by far, I think that the biggest issue might be that they need a few more gradients of color for the hair because that's kind of like my hair color is kind of hard to match. So going through the process, I just want to show this first. This was what the CGI render of the figure looked like. Of course, you don't see an actual physical product before you order it, and that's what I had to go off of, and I thought it looked pretty decent, but not the best. It's also $59.99 when I did it, which is supposed to be the introductory price. I think it's going to go up to $79.99 for some reason later on, so maybe they're trying to get some early adopters with this thing. But yeah, let me go ahead and switch this thing into selfie mode. I thought this would probably be the best way to make sure that we're getting a look at me to see in comparison of the figure and see how it turned out. Now, looking at it, my first impression was, I think it actually turned out a little bit better than the render, actually, a little bit. So here it is, and here I am. I don't know. I mean, I think it looks quite a bit like me. I think that probably the biggest discrepancy actually isn't really likeness, but actually hair color. If you're a redheaded person like me, that is a wide spectrum of color. For me, it's kind of, depending on the lighting, my hair sometimes kind of looks blonde, it kind of looks brown, kind of more red. It just completely depends. And as you can see, if you're in this situation like me, then, you know, you kind of just have this more reddish or orangish color of hair to choose from, which can kind of throw it off a little bit. But to me, it doesn't throw it off enough to really hurt it. I have to say I'm actually pretty pleased with this. I think it's pretty recognizable as me, not only from straight on, but kind of like, you know, several different angles. And I think it works. In particular, like I said, there's a little bit more of a sense of immersion about a figure like this, because if you look closely, you can see that it just says rookie on there, just like the PS3 and Xbox 360. And now it's been ported to the modern consoles, but just like the Ghostbusters game, where you play a rookie. I also like the packaging presentation. It's pretty nice for the Ghostbusters one here. It's kind of funny because they have these ties around here now, and it almost looks like it's somehow a part of the costume. I know it's not, but it's still kind of funny. What do you say that we turn this over to me, reviewing me? You get it, all right. It's kind of funny. Usually I don't really do the unboxing part in the review, but heck, I thought, hey, this is a figure of me, so, you know, when else am I going to do this? So let's go ahead and open me up. Hope only a surgeon would ever have to say that, but here we are. This seems fairly collector friendly because there isn't any tape up here. It's just a tab. Now, I will say the tab is kind of hard to pull out, and I had to almost pull up through here to get it to come loose. So there we go. And then you'll have to be kind of careful because this will easily rip through here if you don't do it with a little bit of finesse. That opens up. And of course, you can see that there's no kind of plastic or anything in the packaging. Everything is paper. Now, I really hope that they'll consider changing the packaging to something like this for Marvel Legends and everything, because you can see the figure this way. So I know that theft is probably always a concern, but still. Oh, great. It actually comes, with a proton pack. That would have been pretty bad, right, if it hadn't. And of course, we get the neutrino one of the stream. And be careful, I almost threw this out. This is the little PKE meter, so I'm really glad that it comes with at least a few little accessories, Ghostbusters-centric accessories. On the back, you can see this is where we have our twisty ties. And here I am out of the packaging, a sentence I did not think I would be saying on this channel. First of all, let's just go ahead and have a look at some of the details. Of course, this has all the same details that you would expect from the Plasma series of Ghostbusters figures, and they've not left anything off or cheaped out in any way. It has all those paint hits with the elbow pads and little straps and even the tampograph of the Ghostbusters symbol. The real thing that is actually, different, of course, is going to be the custom head sculpt that Hasbro has for you here. Yeah, the more I look at it, the happier I am with it. I do think that even if the hair is not quite as blondish as I probably need it to be for my kind of really specific hair color, this really does look quite a bit like me. Even from the sides, it looks especially like me. Now, of course, maybe it has more to do with me not having super distinguishable features, and maybe I fit the mold of one of their pre-made sculpts a little bit better. Average white dude, maybe maybe that should be the name of this figure, but I really do see myself in it. I think that in particular the eyebrows, the lips are right, even the nose, I think the shape is just about right, and I think one of the best parts of it is the eye shape for me, because I do have kind of a unique eye shape a little bit with up here with my brow, kind of the way it shapes over my eyes and eyelids. I think that captures it pretty well. I'll be 100% honest, I think I have a better likeness than some of the celebrity figures that we see Hasbro put out, and that may not be a very high standard, so it's kind of funny. But yeah, this turned out really well, I have to say. I have seen some absolute disasters online in some of the groups. I see they're just awful. But I have to wonder about a few things. I have to wonder, number one, did they get under a really good light source before they took their selfie? Number two, I have to wonder, were they picky about which one they used? Because I did not go with the first one or two that I got. Something was a little off, and I definitely kept trying the process until I got it just right. I've also seen people do some pretty extreme expressions in theirs, and I think that even the app says something about you smiling will help it improve the likeness, but I didn't do that, and I actually think my likeness turned out a lot better than a lot of them that I've been seeing. So I'm thinking maybe it's a no on the extreme facial expression. Just do something neutral. I did kind of halfway neutral happy for me. I have a resting jerk face, to put it nicely, so I didn't want to look like I was frowning. And just so that we can see it, we'll go ahead and put the backpack on there, the proton pack. Backpack. Are you even a Ghostbusters fan? I love the look of that. Putting the proton pack, really, that even brings it to the next level, doesn't it? Oh yeah, that is great. Let's see, let's put the PKE meter in there. Oh yeah, and, you geek out a little when this turns out, right? This looks, yeah. And one of the reasons I picked the Ghostbusters too is because I think that body, this is an average kind of, body type. It's a little pudgy, it's a little whatever, and I also like that. I want it to be accurate. I don't want to look like Superman. Well, I do, but I don't. And here's the neutrino wand. Yeah, that even takes it to the next level, doesn't it? Yeah, this is so much fun. We're gonna put my facial scan up against the obvious comparison, Hannibal Lecter. So, in case you're wondering, this is the Galen Erso head, or Galen, I don't know, from Rogue One. And of course, Mads Mikkelsen played that character. He's one of my favorite actors. He also played Hannibal. So I've just put that on a Mobius body from Marvel Legends, and I think it works really well. Pretty sure Mads is taller than me in real life. So I think that, yeah, I think that's pretty cool. Now, this does bring up a good point. If you go with Marvel Legends, then Marvel Legends is a taller line by about 1/4 of an inch than the Ghostbusters Plasma series. But it's not an issue because, do you notice, my head is actually a little bit larger than his, and his works fine for this body. Let's go ahead and see if it's possible to switch my head sculpt out with other figures. So I'm happy to report it is really easy to pop this right off. I had no issue with that whatsoever. All right, so just like I was saying, you can indeed get these onto other bodies. This is a standard neck peg for a Marvel Legends figure. Of course, you know, this can vary from figure to figure. It is a tight fit for this one. I actually did have to heat up the head with a heat gun just for a few minutes, and then it was fine after that, and then I could pretty easily fit it on there. So if you just want like a regular suit body, which is really something Hasbro should offer, I think. You know, some people would just want a figure of them in civilian clothing or like a suit, and I think people would be happy to get a suit body anyway for their figures. So I think this actually is pretty decent. All right, and here we have the head swap that we've all been waiting for, and I think it's by far the most natural fit. Look, I don't make the rules, all right? I'm just living in the world, man. Kind of looks like, you know, well, I will say the skin color, very accurate. But I guess I maybe oiled up right before, you know, the bodybuilding competition here. Yeah, it's doing the Conan thing, right? Doing the Conan right there. See, this makes it worth it. And sure enough, it popped right on there. So I will tell you that this is compatible with Masterverse. And, oh, I guess that means Masters Universe Origins, too. Yeah, let's try that. There we go. Put him. If you want a Masters Universe Origins figure with a tiny little pinhead on it that looks like you, go for it. Oh yes, the hits keep coming. Look at this. One of the limitations being that, you know, you're not going to run into friendly peg systems for everything. Some pegs are going to be too long or simply out of scale. Now with a Dremel, you could fix that, but like say for instance, McFarlane figures, they're 7 inches. The neck peg is too long and you get weird stuff like this. So this is definitely a 6-inch scaled head, not a 7-inch scaled head. And of course, you know, getting something as realistic and as natural as possible, you know, that's just what it's all about. Toy collecting is for people who care about reality. So definitely something that you have to be aware of with this head is that it appears to be made out of more of like a resin rather than a malleable plastic. So this feels a lot harder than your typical head sculpt that you would get. And for that reason, even when you heat it, it doesn't become quite as malleable as you might think it would be. And so I've had difficulty trying to get it on, like, say, G.I. Joe classified neck peg. So just be aware of that. And if you're a Mezco guy like me, you can even do cool stuff like this. And turns out it was me all along. I'm Dog Nocturnal. Okay. Shh, don't tell. And here I am with all the other Ghostbusters. Now, it is worth pointing out that this Ghostbusters jumpsuit is the kind of darker version that you saw in Ghostbusters Afterlife, and it's not the lighter version from the original figures. So just something to know, because it will look a little different. And yes, Louis Tully is one of the Ghostbusters. So anyway, friends, that'll do it for me. I certainly hope that you've enjoyed this kind of different sort of review. Just so you know, there wasn't any kind of sponsorship or anything for this. I legitimately just was really curious about how the Selfie series thing would turn out, and so I decided to give it a go. for me, my experience was actually really good, and I think that it turned out quite a bit better than I had actually anticipated that it would, but that's not to say that it's working out that well for everybody. I'm seeing plenty of people have, let's just say, interesting results on Facebook and Twitter, so I don't know. All I can say is just really work on the initial scan, and hopefully it will turn out. Like I said, the only thing that I would say that I wasn't as satisfied with is that because that head sculpt is some sort of resin and not really rubber, it's not going to have the kind of give and versatility that I necessarily wanted it to, particularly for G.I. Joe Classified, which I think was the biggest bummer of all. However, it amazingly fits both Masters Universe Origins and Masterverse, so that's a lot of fun anyway. Alright friends, well, make sure that you subscribe, like the video, and comment down below. And as always, God bless you and yours, and I'll see you on Fanboys Forever. Fanboy out.